Welcome to Wedding Talk, everyone. My name is Peter.
And my name is Nina.
And today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, the first dance at your wedding.
First dance. What a moment, seriously.
Yes, it really is.
This is something you remember really for
I
the rest
remember
of your
ours.
life. I remember ours too.
It's the same. It's from the same wedding, by the way.
No, it's funny because the day goes by so quick, right, on a wedding day, and people say it flashes before you, and it really does. But the first dance, for some reason, time freezes, and you remember that moment. So
it's really true. And one thing that you also remember is that first dance song. Now, we get a lot of couples that ask us, what song should I choose? What is the best song for us? And they're asking us, what's the best song for them? And I think to myself, well, maybe you don't have that first dance song like some couples have, like that song that reminds you of the first time that you met. And if you don't, that's totally fine, because you can choose
a classic.
A classic.
I would say if you're in doubt, always choose a classic, right? So because it's already stood the test of time. You already know that in 10 years you're going to look back, and if you pick At Last by Etta James, you know it's not going to go out of style in the next 10 years. If you pick For Once in My Life by Sinatra or Bublé, you know that that is something that's, you know, a classic song, and you're not going to regret looking back on. I wish I could think of something newer in my head that I already know is going to be a classic, but I'm not a fortune teller, so I don't know.
Right.
But
this way, you know, when you're looking back at it, you know, 10, 15, 20 years, you're going to think of that classic song if you don't have your first dance song, and you're not going to be embarrassed by it. So that's a great tip. Length of song is another question that we get asked a lot. How long should that song be, and am I going to be dancing for 4 to 5 minutes at a time?
Yeah, and the answer is please don't dance for 4 to 5 minutes. You know, it's something that
unless you really, you know, are dancers and, you know, don't mind being out in front.
If you have a show for 4 to 5 minutes, that's pretty cool for your guests.
Now, why keep it down? What's the purpose of that?
You know, I think that the time kind of slows down when you're in that moment, and 30 seconds feels like 2 minutes.
That's true.
Because a lot of the time, these brides and grooms, they'll get 30 seconds in, and then they'll look at us like, are we getting close? And I'm like, okay, we're just starting here, right?
We're like way not close.
Yeah, but that's okay. And that's just the nerves and everything. So you really want to find time to kind of settle into that moment and enjoy the person that's standing in front of you. And that 2 to 2.5 minutes is good because it gives you enough time to settle in, enough time to get the photographs you want from your photographer, some nice video, if you have a videographer. And if you do have some choreography, it gives you time to get some moves in without it getting boring for your guests on the other end.
Speaking of moves, what about some of the dance moves some of the questions that we get people, you know, asking us about choreography, and, you know, what's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that as a choreographer myself is
she is a choreographer. She's going to do some choreography right here.
No,
do a little dancing.
Not in this dress. No. I say either go for it or don't. Like, don't do half like the way. So a lot of people, they're like, well, we'll learn a couple of moves, and then they get up there and then they stumble on the moves. And if you're going to do it, you know, be prepared with it and be as prepared as possible. Don't wait until 2 weeks before and go, oh, now we're going to go get dance lessons.
But what about being prepared? We have couples that take dance lessons, and they're so prepared. And then during the dance, maybe they get out of time, or they blank, and then what?
You have to laugh it off.
Yeah, laugh it off.
You have to laugh it off. I mean, we actually have seen that happen, and it was such a great moment. The first time it happened, I remember the wedding that it was at, and we were at this beautiful museum, and it was like a total perfect picture of a wedding, and they started to do choreography, and they both, I mean, he really messed up, and then they were off track, and we couldn't stop the song. We had to just keep going, and they started laughing, and that moment the videographer got on camera, and it was actually the most special, sweetest moment. It was really very much them.
It was that moment that you looked at the couple and went, there they are.
Them.
That's the couple that we know. That's the couple that we love. And they looked at each other and went, I love you. And it was amazing.
Yeah,
it was fantastic to see. So as far as, you know, length of time and so forth.
What do you think about, and this is just another question that we always get. People talk about being nervous, and if they're not a dancer at all, is there something that they should do or something they should think about?
As far as being nervous, I think that what they want to be able to do is to stare at each other, look in each other's eyes, and talk to each other. And you can talk about anything. Talk about the day. Talk about how much in love you are. Talk about the fact that you're now a husband and wife.
Yeah.
And by doing that, everybody in the room will magically disappear. It's like you're dancing in your living room. And by doing that, you will literally get rid of any nervousness that you have, and we highly recommend that approach.
Yeah, and a turn under the arm or a dip and a kiss goes a really long way. So if you're completely stuck, you can always go, turn me under your arm, and that works too. So
it's true. So let's recap. Regarding the first dance, one of the most important things that you want to do, if you don't have your first dance song, your song of choice, try to pick a classic, because a classic is timeless. And when you look at that first dance and look back at it 15, 20 years from then, you won't be embarrassed by that song choice.
That's right. And length, we talked about 2 to 2.5 minutes being a great length, just enough for you to kind of be in the moment, but not too much for you to feel like you're stuck.
And choreography, listen, if you're going to go all in, go all in. But if you don't have it, just, even if you got to hold each other up, that's fine, because that's who you are.
Yeah.
Be who you are, because you're going to feel a lot more comfortable in that moment.
And of course, if you have a little bit of the nerves, then don't worry about that. Speak to each other, talk to each other, focus on, your new husband or wife looking at you and enjoying that moment with each other.
Great tips. And that's it for us, Wedding Talk. I'm Peter.
And I'm Nina.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.